An 18th century underdog who was born with a lump leg into a situation where his alcoholic father stole his family's money, gambled it all away and fled to France, leaving them with nothing. But he still prevailed through harsh bullying and criticism to become one of the greatest poets of his time, and in the end died trying to help the Greek fight for their independence from the Ottomans. Oh yeah, and he was also kicked out of Britain for incest with his half-sister. And this all was the life of Lord Byron. To really understand his life, we have to start at the beginning. It all started with his father, Captain John Byron. A raging alcoholic that somewhere in the 1780s married a girl named Amelia Osborne after having an affair with her. Well, a few years, a very unhappy marriage, 2 miscarriages and the death of Osborne herself later, there was only Jack and 1 daughter left. She'll be important later. Anyways, Jack then met a girl named Catherine Gordon of Guide and married her, and as you do, it was because of her money. He drained her of all of it, and then there was a conversation that went probably something like this. Hey honey, remember how you trusted me with all of your money?
Yes, Jack, you're rhyming when you're nervous. What's up?
Well, I kind of gambled it all away. What? We have a son on our way. The milk looks really empty. I'll get some new one to make it up. Bye. The milk is full! So, he fled to France. But soon afterward, on the 22nd of January 1788, a boy named George Gordon Byron was born. And although the family now was pretty poor, he still had a pretty normal childhood. Well, aside from being bullied for his dumb leg. But at least he didn't have to deal with his father. Well, until...
Hello, son.
Father? Oh my god, are you here to explain where you left all these years ago?
Oh, your mother didn't tell you? Oh, that's awkward. No, I'm here to tell you that I died in France and that you'll be inheriting all my debt.
What?
Later, sucker. I never loved your mother.
Safe to say, a father that was truly ahead of his time. And in addition, George's relationship with his mother was also kind of rocky, as there are accounts of arguments where George complained about how short and corpulent his mother was, and she retaliated by making fun of his stump leg. In the end, they still liked each other. But then, after such a hard life in poverty, finally something good happened to him. His uncle died. This time, however, he wasn't inherited debt, but the title Lord, and a juicy mansion that was in dire need of a renovation. So his mother decided, because he only was 10 years old at that time, to rent out the mansion to some other baron. Skipping ahead a few years, when he was 21, he was broke again. His difficult family life and constant bullying because of his stump leg, in combination with a complicated love life, drove the still young Lord Byron to poetry, with his first published work, Hours of Idleness, being published in 1807. You would think that the universe would give him a break and his poems to be a success, but his work got more utterly destroyed by critics than an infant playing football against Cristiano Ronaldo. Furious about the disrespect he experienced, he basically wrote the very first diss track, named English Bards and Scotch Reviewers, where he completely took apart the media and every other poet in Europe. And it was a total hit. After his success, he thought it would be a perfect time to take a holiday traveling through the Mediterranean and to sleep with a fuck ton of men, because there he wouldn't get killed for it. But when he returned as another fuck you from God, his mother died right before he could visit her. After this, he was really depressed and slept with a lot of women, but then got pushed by his friends to write. At the same time, he met a high-class girl named Lady Caroline Lamb by her writing him fan mail. And pioneering the hundreds of influencers that followed him, he completely abused it, starting a very interesting relationship. She was so obsessed with Byron that after not even a year, he ended things with her over a letter. But she never truly let him go. Oh yeah, and she had a husband that whole time. But back to the poetry. Byron finally finished his writing, and the product of it was Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. And safe to say, people liked it. Like it was said in another way more in-depth video from Biographics, link in the description.
Do you remember the worldwide craze that was Gangnam Style in 2012? Yeah, it was basically that, but in the 1800s.
Yesterday at work I got whipped and it really stung.
Well, all of a sudden he found himself famous and wealthy. And what do you do when you are famous, wealthy and just broke up with your crazy girlfriend? Marry her cousin. Marry her cousin. Not only that, she got pregnant. And in like every other good marriage, they hated each other. The two were really so incompatible, with her being a God-fearing mathematician and him being, well, Byron, that even today we are still not quite sure why he wanted to marry her. Besides from maybe using her as a front to not get caught dancing the devil's tango with other men. But still, his daughter was born. And like a big historic crossover, his daughter would later turn out to be the first programmer ever. Literally. Google it. Oh yeah, and do you remember his crazy ex-girlfriend and his half-sister I told you at the beginning would be important later? Well, now it's later, because Caroline Lamb, still being jealous, spilled the beans on him sleeping with his half-sister. Allegedly. Well, you did continuously drop hints at your wife that you slept with your sister to make her angry. And remember, your wife is your crazy ex-girlfriend's cousin. Okay, I see the problem. So he fled Britain, bringing his personal physician John Polidori and travelled to Geneva, where the crossover continued, because he met Mary Shelley. And one rainy night, they just suggested to tell each other ghost stories, where Polidori invented the vampire and Shelley wrote Frankenstein. Literally, Google it. During that time, Byron also impregnated an old lover of his, which resulted in another daughter. And for this one, he decided to beat his father's record of the worst dad ever. He convinced the mother of the child to let her live with him because he had way more money. But after a while, he got bored of her, gave her to some friends and prevented her mother from ever visiting. In the end, she died from a fever at the age of 5, begging to see her father. Lord Byron, being very out of character, did really care about her death and had her properly buried in Britain. Over the next years living in Italy, Byron continued doing Byron things, like compiling the English-Armenian dictionary, writing the hit poem Don Juan, sleeping with countless women and men, and rewriting parts of the Bible because he thought his stories were more interesting. But after getting bored of Italy, he and his money were invited to help the Greek independence movement from the Ottoman Empire. But when he got there, he was a little confused as to what he should do there. But then he understood. He paid £4,000 or about $250,000 today to upgrade the Greek navy and hired some mercenaries that would follow his command. He was really eager to head into battle and die a heroic death, but just as fast as he lived his life, he died in April 1924 at the age of 36, before ever getting to see a battle. After his death, although he wanted to be buried in Greece, he was brought back to Britain and buried. So what can we take away from the story of Lord Byron? Honestly, I'm completely clueless.